Dirt, do you have a tattoo?
I just have one little tiny one. It's my wedding band.
Your wedding band.
I would love to get more. I just got to get over to Jerusalem.
Have you been over to Jerusalem?
No, man. Never have.
All right, well.
But I would love to get there and get Razzouk to tattoo my arm. It'll be awesome.
Right. Razzouk, you first have to disinfect his arm. He's a very dirty individual. That's why we call him Dirt.
First.
We call him Dirt. He's like, you can't go through dirt, man. You got to get fresh to skin, not an inch of grime. Welcome to The Aggressive Life. Man, I got a guy on here. Sometimes I get people on the podcast who I've never met before, and that's fun. And then I have some people on the podcast who I've met once before, and it was a significant moment. That's the moment today. I've got a guy who I spent some time with about, 10 years ago, maybe? Wassim Razzouk. What an awesome name. Dirt, you have like loser names like yours, like
awesome
Caleb
name.
Mathis.
Right.
And you got Wassim Razzouk.
Boring.
Or Brian Tome. That's like the biggest loser name, Tome. Like what? But you got like a name like Razzouk. Yeah, Wassim Razzouk.
It's awesome.
He is arguably the most widely influential tattoo artist in the world. Because I know I'm going to build you up, Wassim, and then you can talk about because I'm sure he's had more people from around the world come to him than probably anybody else. Because he has a business that's a family business, been happening for how many years, Wassim?
700 years.
700 years of tattooing people who were on pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So we're going to talk with him, get his story. He's made some really aggressive moves, and he's had an impact on a lot of people. Welcome to The Aggressive Life, Wassim Razzouk.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and what a great introduction. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you, and I think about you. I've got here still on my
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's still there. I got a little forearm flex.
Here's mine.
There's yours right there. So tell us, instead of me telling the story, Wassim, you tell me the story behind this stamp and your family. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, sure. I come from a Christian family, a Coptic Christian family. So when we say Coptic, we mean the origin of the family is from Egypt. So we come from Egypt, where we used to do tattoos for Christian Copts on their wrist, just like the one I have right here. It's a small cross, if you see it. I've had this cross tattooed on me when I was 7 years old. So that's the tradition of Coptic Christian tattoos, where children or everybody gets a tattoo since their childhood as a sign of their Christianity. It's really an identity mark of their Christianity, and that's where my family started doing tattoos back in Egypt, and the tradition in Egypt is still going on until today. But 500 years ago, my family came from Egypt to the Holy Land on pilgrimage and discovered that there was a similar Christian tattooing tradition in the Holy Land. Where pilgrims, when they come from all over the world, they come to Jerusalem, and as proof and as a certificate of pilgrimage, they would get a tattoo on them before they go back home. And this would be the mark of their pilgrimage, the way they will show that they have renewed their faith, that they have done their pilgrimage, that they have visited the Holy Land and made it back home, which was a great thing, a journey of a lifetime that would sometimes take a month or 2 or 6 months, or even a year and a half for some people who would walk all the way to the Holy Land, stay in the Holy Land, work in the Holy Land, because they had to, there was no credit cards back then, so they had to work to earn their living and their food and then go back home. And this mark of pilgrimage, this Christian mark of pilgrimage of Jerusalem and from Jerusalem, was like the ultimate sign of the new status that they have earned. And so my family started doing that.
Yeah, I have a stamp that the stamp, which if you never had, those who've never had a tattoo before, they want to do. Very few artists want to just start free forming, like drawing on your skin, because kind of hard to erase. So you generally put down some image that you can then go over permanently with. And so in Wassim's shop, they've got these stamps. They put ink on the stamp. They put it on your skin, then they tattoo over it. And that stamp was broken. The corner was broken, so he ended up free-forming a corner of it. But I think that stamp is 600 years old, right? It's
a 500-year-old stamp. It was documented that it was used 500 years ago by many pilgrims who came to the Holy Land and wrote about in their journals, wrote about their journey, and where they do mention wooden stamps being used as stencils to stamp the design on their skin, and then later on the tattooer would carry on the tattooing and with a needle threaded on a piece of wood, which is just like a stick and poke style. They would just trace the design, and then it would be permanently tattooed on. So it is a 500-year-old stamp that my family has had since then.
So for 500 years, the stamp that touched my skin has been going on believers from all over the world that come to the way we're talking about, people would come to Israel just to get a tattoo from you because it's pretty sexy. It's pretty awesome. How many people do you think that tattoo I have, or that stamp, how many people has that gone on in the last 500 years? Do you have any estimate?
Oh, I can tell you the last 5 years.
Yeah, what's the last 5 years?
Thousands of people. So the past 500 years for sure. But we're talking only about one stamp, where we have like 150 of them. Where my family brought some of those stamps from Egypt initially, and then later on, many stamps were carved in the Holy Land, just like the Jerusalem cross that you have on you was carved in the Holy Land, because it's the Jerusalem cross that was not relevant in Egypt. So when the family came to the Holy Land, they brought their tools with them. And among those tools were the stamps. So more stamps were carved in the Holy Land during the time that they were working. And so we do have other designs other than the Jerusalem cross. But this Jerusalem cross specifically is very important because it was documented in pilgrims' journals, where they had also the image of their arm and the tattoo on it drawn in the journal, and it describes the way of the technique of the tattoo, which is using the stamp, which we still have. So this specific stamp of the Jerusalem cross has touched thousands and thousands of pilgrims and people and crusaders as well. And a lot of people who come to the Holy Land as pilgrims, they know that, for example, their ancestors many generations ago had come to the Holy Land and most probably had received a cross tattooed on them. So they want that stamp to be used to touch them, because maybe there is a good chance that their great ancestors have already been tattooed by the same stamp.
So we should probably, some people are probably wondering this question. I get this asked somewhat frequently. Well, doesn't the Bible forbid tattoos? Well, there's a verse in the Old Testament that forbids tattoos, but they're talking about tattoos in the context of ancestral worship. They're not talking about this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're going to start tattooing Aunt Mabel's face on your forearm because you want to worship and pray to Aunt Mabel, then yeah, probably a bad idea. But this is a different kind of thing. Would you agree with that, Wassim?
Or yeah, of course. Or if you would use the ashes of the dead and start cutting your flesh and putting the ashes in your skin in order to mark yourself and glorify the dead. That's where Leviticus says you cannot do that, because it says, you shall not mark your body for the dead, because I am your God. That's what God wants. It doesn't want you to mark your body and glorify the dead as gods, whereas He is the God. I am your God. That's what He says. And this is where tattoos are not acceptable. But if you're glorifying God, and if you're glorifying, if you're proud of your faith and you want to show your faith, then tattoos for Christians are absolutely okay. I have tattooed nuns, priests. It's a tradition to tattoo actually like bishops, archbishops, pastors from all over the world, from all kind of denominations. So for Christians, tattooing is absolutely okay.
Do you have any nuns ever ask you to tattoo their breasts?
No.
You ever have anybody ask you that?
I don't do that in my shop. I mean, like, we've had some weird things being asked to do in our shop, but yeah, we try to keep it traditional and very Christian.
Well, you brought up an interpretation of that verse I didn't know. I didn't understand that they were using ashes from their ancestors in the tattoo. That's a wrinkle I didn't understand. That's interesting.
It's an ancient Canaanite tradition where they used to burn the dead and take the ashes and then cut their flesh and put the ashes in their skin and their flesh to mark their skin in a way to glorify the dead as gods, and then God came and said, no, you cannot do that anymore. It's a sin. So because you're glorifying the dead and putting ashes of dead inside your body, so it's not acceptable. You don't do that. So that's where the interpretation of Leviticus.
That's a whole nother level that I didn't know. That's great. Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
When I was in, you were telling me about this stamp. I want to kind of iterate what I remember you saying. And then if I get it wrong, correct me. And I hope I don't get this wrong because I've told a lot of people this.
Okay. I'll
so,
correct you.
as I remember, it was when the Christian, as a Coptic Christian, your family and all those ancient folks were under oppression of the Egyptians who were Muslim and not Christian, and they would tattoo the Christians in order for them to pay additional taxes. So people knew who they were. Mm-hmm. And you weren't around 500, 700 years ago, whatever, but people who are believers, Coptic Christians, says, well, if you're going to tattoo me, then put it on my right wrist so I can proclaim it every time I shake somebody's hand. It was kind of the ultimate FU move. Like, oh, you want a tattoo? Right it is. I'm gonna do it right there. I'm gonna actually own it. Is that the way it was?
Very much. It's very much so. Yes, very much so. So when Islam started to spread through Africa, Egypt was the first country that Islam started to spread through, and they would, Islam would spread through conversion. They would convert Christians or even Jews into Islam. So the Christians who did not convert to Islam, who refused the conversion, were actually tattooed with a cross on their arms. So that the tax collectors would know that they are, that they are the Christians who did not convert to Islam, so they have to pay specific tax or any kind of other type of persecution towards the Christians. And so with the generations, the Christian Copts started using that tattoo that was tattooed on them in a negative way to identify those Christians who never converted and stayed Christians, and even was the way as a pass to enter churches. So you had to show your cross that was tattooed on you. And then they adopted this practice, and it became a tradition where Christians were starting to tattoo their children even at months old or a few years old, just to mark them and make sure that they have the cross on themselves. This way they have them, not even, like sometimes we wear a cross, but this can be taken off. But then when it's on your wrist, tattooed, nothing can take it off.
Yes, that's powerful. It's really a declaration of I'm gonna own my faith. You could put a cross, like you said, on you, and then take it off. Well, I'm going to go party hard tonight. I'm take it off. But no, it's
and many Copts even recently were persecuted in a way that they were asked to denounce Jesus or denounce their faith or die because they saw their tattoos on them, and they would say, kill me, I don't care, I will not denounce my faith. And it has happened many times in Egypt. So that's what the cross is.
That's just a really alive, vibrant kind of faith. Do you feel like there's ways for you to express your faith that you're dealing with today beyond tattooing? I mean, is it hard for you to be a Christian in Israel right now with all the stuff that's going on? And what's that like, boots on the ground?
Very good question, because yes, it is very difficult to be a Christian in the Holy Land, and it's difficult to be, a Christian who is categorized as an Arab Christian, because a lot of people in America will not understand how does that work? You're an Arab and you're a Christian, not a Muslim. Yes, of course, because I was born here originally, Egyptian, so Coptic, so that's the Egyptian part, but then there is the local part, which is originally the Palestinian part. So Palestine existed before Israel, and that's where my father was born, in the same land that was called Palestine back then. So as a Christian born to a Arab Palestinian family, I am looked at as a person who is potentially dangerous for many people. So, for example, the state of Israel would see me as a potential threat, because simply I am not Israeli or Jewish. I am Arab. And unfortunately also, the Muslims who are living around us, Palestinian Muslims, also see us as, not the 100% fitting in the society, because we're not Muslims, because we are Christians, and because we have tattoos, and the tattoos are not acceptable in their religion. So it is not easy to live in this country as a Christian. Although, if you think about it, this is the Holy Land where Jesus was born, and this is the land of Jesus, the land of the Christians, and us as Christians, we feel that we are inferior here. So we need all the support we can get from everybody out there, especially in America, to understand what is the position of the Christians who are living in the Holy Land, that we need the support of you guys.
Right. Well, I've got some friends who are, a good friend, Kalev Myers. You know Kalev? I don't know if you know Kalev or not. He's a good guy. He's a completed Jew. He's a Jewish Christian who's in Israel, does a lot of good work, and then you, who are obviously sharing the same faith, but might be different sides of the understanding the whole Palestinian situation there. But since I have you on the podcast right now, I wasn't planning to talk about this. I was just talking about tattoos, and I realized, we have somebody who's boots on the ground, who's in one of the most polarizing topic of our day, and it's called the aggressive life. So it'd be kind of really a little weenie boy to not ask you about it and just go there. Just your perspective, like what's happening right now in Palestine. Just speak, and I'll ask you questions.
What's happening now? Is that the question?
Yeah. What's your take on all the carnage? Yeah, what's your take on the carnage? What do you think about it?
Oh, I think it's very unfortunate, and I think it's just the way things have just gone. The past couple of years went crazy. I do not agree with any aggression in any way. Neither by any of the sides. If we want to talk, Israel versus Palestine, this is all wrong to me. I am a Christian, and I believe in peace and in love and in coexistence. This is how we were taught to live. This is how I was taught at church and in our family, to love thy neighbor and love your enemy. So this is how I think things should be. But unfortunately, things have gone really bad, and I just wish that it didn't go in that direction so fast and for so long. Because we were used to short-term little conflicts for 1 month, for 2 months, but for 2 years it took a long time, and there's a lot of scars that will continue to be for a long time, for generations to come on both sides, unfortunately. And I think that needs a lot of work and a lot of prayers. And I personally have been praying for peace throughout those 2 years because too many people were hurt, and I just like it's just sad and unfortunate. And the problem is with, of course, the media that portrays the image in a very unfair way, where they don't really show who is the person that you should point the finger at and say, hey, you need to stop. But who am I to say? I just like to do tattoos for Christians and make them go home happy and proud.
Right.
I have a voice, and I wish my voice would be heard.
Well, it is being heard. It's being heard right now. A lot of people here in America, they just don't understand the situation over there, and I mean the history. I don't understand the situation over there. I've been there 15 times. I don't understand it, but just the history. So for our listeners, a quick primer on the Middle East and where all this has come from is following World War II. You had enough people who were upset about the Holocaust and everything else that people petitioned Truman and the United States to set aside land for any Jewish person to go to from across the world where they would be safe and this wouldn't happen again. And they set that side apart here in the Holy Land, pretty much the boundaries that were described in the Bible, that ended up displacing not a lot of people. I don't remember the exact number, but people who were cobbled together from different tribes. They didn't really refer to themselves as Palestinians back then. It was just various people groups. It wasn't like a centralized government or anything like that.
A few million.
A few million?
Yeah.
All right, so more than I thought.
Like
a few million,
maybe
a few million.
2 or 3 million back then. They were displaced from their lands and put in Gaza or other places, and then later on called refugees, and they became refugees, and then they were put in an enclave, and then they did not give them water and food unless they were allowed to get the water and food, and then they just created unfortunate situations for them, and then saying that they were the bad guys. Although if you think about it, they were just pushed away from their land, and that's how it is. I think this is what happened from my perspective.
And if you do, that lines up with what I see, and new information for me there as well. But if you do a Holy Land tour and then you go to Bethlehem, which of course you do Holy Land, you're going to go to Bethlehem. Bethlehem is inside of Palestine, quote unquote Palestine, but it's under Israeli rule. So it's basically a wall around the city. And, they got to go through a checkpoint to get out. If they get out, and it's just a constriction of resources. And then if you are on a tour, the guide you've had for all the other stops in Israel, all of them, the Dead Sea, the Jesus walking on the water in Galilee, in Jerusalem, he's out, he or she's out. And now you hand off to another guide who's able to do stuff inside of that area. That whole area, from what I understand, the picture I see, it's gone. It looks like it's gone to me. Is the church in Bethlehem still there? Is that thing gone?
Yeah.
Wassim?
Well, that whatever is gone that you're talking about is gone, wiped out in that way. I think that's in Gaza, but the West Bank is not like that. So when we say the West Bank, we're talking about like Bethlehem. Bethlehem is okay. Bethlehem is still 100 so far for now. It's okay. But yeah, you can. Like I was in Bethlehem just yesterday. And everything is great and okay. I was in the church, and so no, everything is okay. But the checkpoints are very difficult to pass through, going back and forth from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. But
complicated.
It's complicated. It's complicated, but it's okay.
It is complicated. How's this affecting your business? Because I know we normally take people over and have you carve people up with ink as well. You've done a bunch of people at the church, my day job. We haven't done any trips for years, and I don't know when we're going to again. I've got to think that's an industry-wide thing, and that can't be good for your business. How are you doing?
The business has suffered a lot in the past 2 years because our business is 99% relies on tourists and pilgrims who come to the Holy Land, and we during the past 2 years, because of the the war, so there was no flights. People did not come. People were afraid to come. So there was no tourism. There was no pilgrimage. And the shop was open, but it really suffered. So we did not have business. We had a little bit, some of the American military guys who came to Israel, and we used to work in Israel the past 2 years. They used to love to come to our shop and get tattoos. So fortunately, we had some business. We relied on those guys who came and got a lot of tattoos. So we were happy to work with them. But now it looks like things are coming back and things are happening. There's more flights. And with the ceasefire or with the peace deal, that I hope it continues, people are more encouraged to come and visit the Holy Land. And so we are seeing more and more people recently, and I hope it will continue to, improve for the next, few months coming. And if it does continue to be peaceful and quiet here, without politicians going crazy again, I think things will be okay for the next year of 2026. I hope so.
When we bring people over there, we often have to field questions about, well, is it safe? Is it safe? And I always just roll my eyes. I say, I've been over there a bunch. I've never felt unsafe. It's always, I've been to Gaza. I've been to one of the little rest stops right outside of Gaza. Yeah. I've never felt unsafe. I've never met a Muslim I didn't like over there. I'm sure there's Muslims I don't like somewhere. I've just never met one over there. It's always been wonderful. And I'm wondering, does it still feel that way right now, Wassim? Or is there a cultural shift? Is there more tension in the air? What's it like right now?
No, on the contrary, I think locals are very happy to see Americans and tourists come back. Of course, people have suffered trauma from what they have seen, from what they have went through, or if they had lost people from their families, or people that they have known, or even like people who they have followed on Instagram or on the social media, and those people just vanished suddenly. So, of course, people went through difficulties the past 2 years. It's not like just watching TV and seeing what's happening. We were actually living this difficult day by day, trauma that was happening. But now that we're seeing Americans come back and people coming back, we're happy to see them, and everybody is like, "Oh, thank God you're back!" Now we can go back to our normal lives, like before all of this carnage happened.
Yeah, for you and your family, you talked about the trauma. That's real legit trauma. We talk about trauma here over in the States, and most people, the trauma is they didn't get to watch Netflix as long as they wanted to. It's not real trauma. You're talking about some real stuff. Like what does that look like? Could you give us a week you had to deal with this, or what could you map out a little bit more the personal difficulty this has been for you and your family?
So, for example, when it all started, we knew that we will not have any business and that things are going to be very difficult. I was afraid, and I was scared for my children, for my two sons. So I have two sons who are 22 and 25 years old, and this is the age where they would be, like they want to go out, they want to do things, and this is where they could be stopped anytime by, for example, Israeli police and check them, but just because they are not Israeli, they are Arabs, they want to check them, take them out of the cars, pull them out, check their clothes, check them. I didn't want my sons to go through this because I went through this when I was in their age, in 1987. When the first Intifada happened, if you remember that or if you know about that. I was a teenager and we had to go through a lot of difficulties as teenagers going back and forth from school to home, for example, where the police would stop us and just do random checks and just strip us and, sometimes, be not nice to us. And I didn't want my two sons to go through this because it was traumatizing for me. And so the difficulty was the decision to take whether to stay here and keep my two, the two sons who are like 22, 24 years old, keep them in the house and not let them go, which is impossible to do, or say, let's go somewhere else. And go somewhere else means, you need to get out of the country. And it's not because we were afraid from, bombs or rockets or something like that, because fortunately we live in a country where there is a iron dome on top of us and supposedly protecting us. So the difficulty was with, the decision of whether I keep my two sons in the country and live an abnormal life, or take them out of the country and live a more normal life away from their normal life. So that was really difficult. This is where we decided to go to Athens, to Greece, and we stayed there for a while. I even opened a shop in Athens, and now it's still open. We still have a studio in Athens.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so that was really difficult for me as a father, and for my father as a grandfather, to support me in, doing that, because he didn't want that, because he wanted all this family to be around him and not to lose the family going all over, just because we're afraid to stay, So,
yeah.
And that's part of the question you asked me before, as a Christian, what are the difficulties you would, face? Those are the difficulties. This was a very difficult time, really difficult time.
No, that's tough. When did you decide that you were going to be a tattoo artist?
I did not decide. God decided for me.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. This is a great story. I love this story.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking me a good question like that. So I was 30 years old when I changed my mind, because when I was young, when I was really young, I used to go and watch my aunt and my father tattoo pilgrims, and I was around that work all my childhood, and it was just a thing that was in the family, right? And when I grew up a little bit, my father was like, "You need to start tattooing. You need to take over this tradition and start tattooing. You're the next generation. You're the 27th generation."
27.
Yes. And I was like, that doesn't matter to me. That's not what I want to do, And he's like, "But, it's in the family. We're 26th generation. You're 27. Your children will be 28 if you take this tradition." And I just didn't want it, because I wanted to do other things in life. And I did do other things in life, like I worked in bars and cafes. I love cars and motorcycles, and I used to, build cars and work on cars and motorcycles. And then, so one day, and this is where the beautiful story comes in. One day I have a white Harley. I was riding my white Harley around the lake of, around Galilee, the lake of Tiberias. And I remember on that day, I could not stop thinking of one thing only, that I need to start tattooing. I was talking to myself, and I was like, what is going on? Why am I going crazy? What is this? I didn't understand what it was back then. And then so I came back home after 2 days, and I told my father, I want to start tattooing. And he was so excited. He took out all the stamps, all the tools, all the old machines. He started telling me about them, the book, and, just everything he had. He started teaching me how to do tattoos. And then I started tattooing. And then a couple of years later, I remember the first time was when I was tattooing a pastor, and he asked me the same question. And he said, "How did you start tattooing?" And I told him the Harley ride story of, me talking to myself. And he said, you know what is that? I said, no. He said, this is God. God's voice talking to you. He wants you to do this. And then I was like, is that the way God talks to us? Maybe so. I don't know. So then another time happened, the same thing with another priest, another pastor. And over I would hear the same thing where I was told, this is God's voice talking to you. He wants you to do this because he wants us to come to you so that you can tattoo us and continue this tradition. And then I realized that, yes, it was the voice of God. And this is what this is my mission in life, is to continue and be number 27, so that number 28, my two sons, and my daughter, by the way, who is also 10 years old, will continue this tradition for you guys to come and get tattoos in the Holy Land.
Amen. So are your sons in the business then right now in Greece?
Oh yeah. I have two sons now. They are both in the business, both working with me in the shop and online, and a lot of stuff. Go on Instagram and social media, you'll see a lot of stuff.
Online? What do you do online to make money?
Oh, it's not about making money. It's also about, showing people and our clients. And we have a lot of fans, not just clients. So people who follow us, people who love the tradition, they like to hear about what we do. So, we have short videos. We're working on something very interesting that's going to come up soon next year, is that we will be talking about stories and things like that. We are even working on a book. We're writing a book where we write about stories that has happened with us, and for people, for our clients, and again, our fans, people who are following us, can read them and enjoy the stories that has happened with me, my father, my grandfather, great-grandfather, stories about the family, stories about our clients, the pilgrims. It's going to be a great book. But also on social media, we do a lot of short videos, and we have a website. So on our website, you can go buy T-shirts, and you can have just like the hoodie that you have right now. We have one Razzouk, and with the designs that we have, mugs, stuff like that. We have a beautiful website. You should check it out.
Is your father still in the business?
My father is still alive. He's in the business of supporting me to continue to do this despite everything happening. So he's really in my life every day. So I see my father every day, and he talks to me every day. What's happening? What happened with this? Supports me, gives me ideas. But he doesn't tattoo anymore. No.
Okay. How long do you think you'll be in the business for, tattooing people?
Oh, as long as I can. I mean, I love tattooing. I enjoy tattooing people. I enjoy talking to people, and a lot of times, people open up and talk about their faith and about their stories. And sometimes, they ask for advice, and sometimes I tell them what I can. So I'm planning to continue to tattoo for as long as I can. Maybe, I have this image in my head when I'm like 85 years old. Doing only signatures on people, just tattooing. So because we do that, people ask us to tattoo our Razzouk name. This one, is it here? Yeah. It's here.
Oh, there it is.
We do a little Razzouk on people sometimes.
Oh yeah, because you're a big deal. You're a big brand, covered by BBC, Forbes, nearly every major media outlet. It's you're a known thing. That's not a flash in the pan. It's pretty cool story.
We are blessed. We are blessed. I think God wants that. God wants our name to go out there, and spread Christianity and spread faith for people to express their faith, express their love to God and Jesus through their tattoos. And that's why God has put me on this track. That's how I know that God loves tattoos, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Wassim, you seem like the right kind of guy to close out a podcast with the lightning round. The lightning round is when I ask you a question and you have to answer it in one sentence or less, like a bolt of lightning. Okay. Are you up for the challenge?
Okay.
All right, here we go. First tattoo that you got.
I was 7 years old, and my aunt said, it's your turn. Come here. It's your turn to get this little cross.
Cross, right. And it was your grandmother who did it?
It was my aunt.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. All right.
Yeah.
First tattoo that you gave?
On myself, actually.
Ah.
Yeah, I wanted to try it, and I gave myself a tattoo, and I tattooed a big one. It's a big Jesus here, right here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Jesus.
All right. Your best guess, how many tattoos have you personally done in your life?
I've been asked this question many times, and I think it's well over 200, 300,000.
Wow. Most popular tattoo in your shop?
Jerusalem cross.
Yeah, let's tease that out a little bit. We're gonna pause the round. The Jerusalem cross. No one really knows what it stands for, do they? What's your opinions on this? You've seen it sort of as a crest on some of the medieval knights and stuff like that. It looks like that, but you could just Google it. But what do you think the cross signifies? Like a cross with 4 little crosses inside of it.
Okay, so the center cross represents Jerusalem as the center of the world, and the 4 crosses represent the word of God spreading to the 4 corners of the world.
Oh, and that's definitive. I thought that was just a theory. You're saying that definitely means that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right, I'll take it from you. If the Razzouk guy says it, then it is true. The guy who's done more crosses, if Wassim says it, it is it. That's just the way it is.
Okay, I like that. Great.
All right, what is one lesson you've had to learn the hard way?
Focus on one thing in your life and keep going for it.
That's good. And last one, what's the last thing that you felt God say to you, and what did you do about it?
Whoa.
That's a deep one. You can take a moment. You can take a moment to think on it.
Yeah. To correct my mistakes in life, and no matter what, and put the ego away and just correct the mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it. I've corrected a lot of mistakes, and especially my relationship with my sons and my daughter, and yeah, I'm working on it very, very much.
Man, having the relationships work right with your kids, you take it for granted when your kids are 5 and 8, but then when they get older, you're going, man, I want this thing right. There's too much noise in life to have noise with my kids, right?
Yeah. You think you're doing it right, but then when they grow up and they dare to tell you that you were not doing it right because of the things they tell you, because they're grown up and now they know how to say it, you're like, oh man, am I gonna defend myself now, or am I gonna say I'm sorry, I will fix it?
Right.
So that's what I'm doing now. I'm fixing.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have something you can fix, because a tattoo is kind of hard to fix. It's a bit permanent, but the things that we do to our kids, there's repentance and forgiveness and second chances and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Well, Wassim, when I lead a trip and get over there to Israel again, I promise I will come and hang out with you again. I'm not sure if I'm going to get another tattoo. I've got 2 on my body. I could always use more, I guess. So, but nonetheless, I'll go in there and see if you sweet talk me into doing something. It'd be fun.
You can always add to your tattoo and become a very traditional pilgrim. When like pilgrims would come the first time they get they get the tattoo, and then each time they come, they add another date, the year of the second and the third and the fourth time that they come, and a lot of pilgrims will have like 10 or 20 of those. So that's like fun. How proud you can be of how many times you've actually made it to the Holy Land, not only once.
So then I would add the first date on this and then the current date, Or just
Or you can add
I can
each
do that.
year you've been here, or just like how many times, or just since to this. And yeah, many ways we can do it.
Oh, I like that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Dirt, do you have a tattoo?
I just have one little tiny one. It's my wedding band.
Your wedding
but
band.
I would love to get more. I just got to get over to Jerusalem.
Have you been over to Jerusalem?
No, man. Never have.
All right, well.
But I would love to get there and get Razzouk to tattoo my arm. That'd be awesome.
Right. Razzouk, you first have to disinfect his arm. He's a very dirty individual. That's why we call him Dirt.
First.
We call him Dirt. He's like, you can't go through dirt, man. You got to get fresh to skin, not an inch of grime. All right. Well, Razzouk, Wassim, where do people find you? Just give us your advertisement, your online profile, website, like anything. Just help us find you.
Okay, so just type Razzouk Tattoo, Razzouk Tattoo, and you can go either on our website, or you can go on like Facebook or Instagram, and we're all over. And if you want, you can go on YouTube and just search Razzouk Tattoo or Razzouk, and then you will see so many documentaries and articles about us and videos about us, not by us, by other people about us. And also you'll find a lot of stuff. But basically our website and our social media.
Wassim, this has been a rich time because you're a deep well. You're a deep man and a friend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again live in person. And for all the rest of our folks, hey, I don't know what you're going to learn here. Maybe you want to start a tattoo shop. Maybe you want to do a family business. Pretty impressive to have one going for all these generations. Maybe you just want to learn how to be more resilient in the midst of trauma, real legitimate trauma. Maybe you need to leave here. It's called the aggressive life, not the interesting idea life. Maybe you need to leave here and aggressively patch up a relationship with your kids. Tell your kids you're sorry. Whatever it is. Why don't you do that? We'll see you next time on The Aggressive Life. Thanks for joining us on this journey toward aggressive living. Find more resources, articles, past episodes, and more at briantome.com. My new book, a 60-day devotional called The 5 Marks for Man, 60 Days to a Powerful Life, along with all the other books in the 5 Marks library, are open right now on Amazon. Be sure to leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Then send an email to Dirt, that's Dirt, at briantome.com to get a free Aggressive Life sticker. Find more on Instagram at Brian Tome. The Aggressive Life is a production of Crossroads Church, Cincinnati, Ohio.